My name is Loredana and I'm coming from the National University of Political Science and Public Administration, Bucharest, Romania, and I'm going to talk today about technology generation, evidence from a 7-country comparison on media audiences. First of all, this research study is part of ACT project, Aging Communication Technology, 7-year project based in Canada, reunite many countries and exploring the use of technology later in life. This cross-national longitudinal study aimed to explore changes in the media use among all the audiences and their communication practices. It is a rather unique project in 3 waves, 2016, 18 and 20, and 6 countries, and has, to our knowledge, is the only project which explores the topic of older media audiences cross-nationally and longitudinally. You can find details about the longitudinal study at the link provided here. And we analyze here just the wave 1, data from the 7 countries, Austria, Canada, Denmark, Israel, Romania, Spain and the Netherlands. Over 10,000 internet users aged 60 and above. In terms of methodology, people were asked to answer regarding their media use, places of media use, preferences, and also measurements regarding subjective well-being. Social demographic data were collected. In all the countries were self-administered questionnaire using online tools, except for Romania, where computer-administered telephone interviews were used to collect data due to relatively small percentage of older internet users. Note also that the current presentation is based on an article regarding technology generation and media use, which has been recently published in Journal Technology, and I'm co-authoring with Eugene Loss and Ioana Berg. This is a theory-driven paper, starting from a concept of technology generation, introduced in the literature by German sociologists, stated that people born in a certain time period, from a cohort, having experienced certain life events, this will influence having some kind of similar media preferences. The formative period in the life course is important for specific generation and also in relation to their media use and preferences. Of course, there are critical discussions about the end of this formative period, and this author that I quoted here stated 25 years of age might be a kind of threshold to define the formative years. There are relatively few studies confirm the idea of technology generation, and some of them conducted on German data in the past 10 years. In such study, 6 technology generation are identified. Based on the age cohort of each generation, they are identified according to the media preferences and media use. If we apply this to our data, we can identify 3 technology generation: mechanical generation, people 78 years old and above; the household revolution generation, people 68 to 75 years of age; and technology spread generation, actually the younger generation in our study, 60 to 67 years of age. In the current study, we aim to answer 3 research questions. Are traditional media used to a different extent in the 3 generations? Are new media used to a different extent in the 3 generations? And do people from different generations and different countries have different preferences in using traditional or media and new media? Can we talk about an interaction effect between country and generation in the way people use different media? To answer those questions, we first created two indexes. The importance of traditional media index, calculated as total time spent using different traditional media from watching television to watching print to reading printed newspapers, and the importance of the new media index, calculated as a total time spending using different new media from watching television on a computer to listen radio on a mobile phone or read newspapers on internet. First, we present a table regarding differences in percentages of traditional media versus new media use between the three generations. And you can see that there are significant differences on all media formats we analyze, both the new media and traditional media, with the mechanical generation, so the oldest old, being the ones who use the least, and the technology spread generation being the generation who uses the most each of these medium. However, if there is a difference in what type of media people use in the three generations, we can check whether there are differences in the preferences for using those media by calculating the time spent on using different media formats. Therefore, we perform a two-way factorial ANOVA using importance of traditional media index and importance of the new media index as dependent variables, and generations and country as main factors and interaction factors. This table shows the results on the interaction effect on country and generation, the preferences for traditional media use. And we found out there is a main effect of country, which is quite strong, and an interaction effect on country and generation in the way people prefer different traditional media. This profile plot of country and generation show exactly the same results as the table before. The fact that there is an interaction effect between countries and generation, but also large differences between countries, with Denmark, for example, showing a different profile as compared with Romania, but also Netherlands. We perform a similar analysis on the preferences for new media use. So again, to factorial ANOVA. And this time we found only a country effect, but not an interaction effect between country and generation. Here we see the profile plots of country differences according to all the people preferences to use new media, calculated as time spent of different new media use. And here the interaction effect between country and generation was not significant, whereas we found large country differences. In conclusion, we found support for the idea of technology generation when cultural data was considered, using this sample of all the internet adult users in 7 countries. People from the 3 generations indeed use different media format, traditional and new, to different extent. Still, preferences for using old and old new media are not that much dependent on the generation, but rather on the country of origin. Our data show that for the traditional media use, there is an interaction effect between generation and country of origin, whereas in the case of preferences for the new media use, only separate country effect has been found. Technology generation is nevertheless a concept that could be nuanced by including the social context and the particularities of different countries in the analysis.